I'm going to make a video that talks about ethos, pathos, and logos while looking at a specific commercial and what we want to use with that. So I'm going to open up a commercial and open up our discussion over ethos, pathos, and logos. All right, so I'm going to open up your discussion board. Ethos, pathos, and logos is actually in chapter 6. We're going to talk about it just a little bit differently. Let me exit out of that. I'm in Zoom. That's why. Let's go to our discussion. I'm going to view as a student also. Good. All right, let me share our screen and we're going to talk about this just a little bit with in relation to, is it that? Okay, so that's Zoom. I went to this. I hope that it's sharing. I never know what it's actually sharing. Let me go make sure that it's stopped sharing. Share. There we go. I don't like for it to, I don't ever know if it's moving with me. All right. So if you go to our discussions, we have our book discussions here. So if you come down, you got arguments, chapter 6. This chapter covers ethos, pathos, and logos. So if you open that up, we have logical fallacies, evaluating ethical and emotional appeals as a reader, checklist for reader. And so we're going to scroll down to ethos, pathos, and logos, right? So of course, I'm going to close my door really quickly. So let's look at ethos, pathos, and logos in our handbook here. So this ethical appeal, of course, we're talking about us as a reader, and I would like for us to carry that over into our commercials. So ethical appeal, ethical arguments, they call upon the writer's character, their knowledge, their authority, right? So the way that we build up our ethical appeal is by bringing in sources, right? We help those ethical appeals to we have those ethical appeals in our essays by bringing in that academic source, right? And what I'm going to talk about here in just a moment. So logical appeal, reasonable arguments appeal to our logic. They rely on evidence. They use inductive and deductive reasonings. They ask questions such as the following, right? So we want to bring in some logical appeal to our emotional commercial, I guess you can say. So this emotional appeal, emotional arguments appeal to our readers' beliefs and values. All right. So what we are going to look at with this commercial, what we're going to look at with this commercial is we're going to look at this idea that many commercials use our emotions. They have this ethical appeal. They appeal to our pathos. They have this emotional appeal, and we want to bring logic into that. And by doing that, we're going to talk about the ethos of the commercial, right? What are they saying about themselves, right? So let's just jump into a specific commercial. You know what? I could go into our discussion list. It looks a little bit better. It looks much better when we go into the discussion list. So I'm going to go to a lot of students did the Dove commercial, so we can definitely do that one. A few students did the Google commercial. Most students did the Goldilocks and the Dove commercial. So I talk a lot about the Google commercial, but let's just go ahead and do Dove since most students did that one. All right, so I'm going to share my screen with this Dove commercial. And let's look at what is the emotional appeal in this commercial. So we're going to hand it over to you. All right. Let's go. I didn't do that. Not you. Escape on you. And you're supposed to be, well, you're supposed to be up on that. All right. Scroll back. I've got too many buttons here. So we're going to look at that particular commercial. There we go. So we're looking at this particular Dove commercial. And what is the emotional appeal of this Dove commercial, right? What is the emotional appeal here? The pathos, the emotional appeal, inspirational, happy, inclusive, right? All these different ideas, emotional appeal, inclusive, happy. Now, so there we go. That's what I'm trying to get to, is that particular scene right here, right? Everybody's happy. Everybody's jumping around. Everybody is celebrating our body. Everybody is celebrating the fact that they love themselves, that they love themselves in their own skin, right? They've been pampered by Dove, so they're happy. So that's the emotional appeal here. So we want to ask ourselves, how is Dove using my identity to sell its product? How is it using my insecurities to sell its product? How is it using my relation? I mean, I want to see what you guys had to say also, instead of just mostly what I'm talking about. I have to go back. There we go. Yeah, so this is exactly, it relates to the birthmark by this idea of perfect, be a mechanic, make it hard and use a safe cleaning, very good. Relates because it's focused on outward appearance, both analyze society's focus on perception of beauty and how every person has flaws and imperfections. So this is, again, all this what we're talking about, because including can really hard on themselves about how they look. It's easy to focus on small flaws that other people probably don't even notice. So very good. So all these ideas are that emotional appeal. It has this emotional appeal because it's using my emotions to sell its product. And so in our essays, we want to discuss the emotional appeal of the Dove Beauty, or of our chosen commercial, right? And so what we're going to look at a little bit differently, or what you're able to look at a little bit differently, is the ethos of the commercial. So that, and what that means is, all right, I'll pause it there. So what I mean is the ethos of the commercial, the identity of the commercial, is what do they care about? Who do they care about? How are they using us to sell its product? What are they trying to convince us? Right? They're trying to convince us not just to buy a product, but to buy an idea. That's what it is. So they're convincing us to buy not just a product, but to buy an idea. What idea are they selling us in this commercial? That's the ethical appeal here, the appeal to ethos in the commercial, right? So there's a difference between our ethos, pathos, and logos as a writer, and the ethos, pathos, and logos of the commercial. So what we're getting at here is the pathos is the emotional appeal in the commercial. The ethos is the idea that they're trying to sell us from the commercial. And the logos, the logic, is what we bring to the essay, right? So I'm gonna show us here on a Word document what that means. All right, so I created this and I uploaded this to our Brightspace. So what I would like for us to look at a little bit with ethos, pathos, and logos is not just the writer's character. It's sorry, I've got two things going at once. It's not just the writer's character, but it's also the idea that the commercial sells. And it's not just the character, it's also the idea that the commercial is selling us, right? So what idea is the commercial selling us in this Dove commercial? It's that idea that, Dove cares about insecurity, that Dove cares about body issues, that Dove cares about more than just sweat, that they care about the deeper ideas here that women deal with, right? And so the way that they're doing that, they're the pathos are using an emotional appeal, the emotional appeal in the commercial, and how it uses our identity to sell its product. So the pathos here, the reader's beliefs and values, right? So our beliefs and values is identity. Our beliefs and values is self-care. Our beliefs and values our insecurities and making sure that women are secure, right? So they're playing on those uh, our beliefs and values in this commercial, right? And so the logos is the logical appeal that we bring using our sources, right? So some of the sources that I would bring into this Dove commercial would again be the insecurities that women deal with and whatnot. So that's what I wanted to talk about with ethos and pathos and logos. I didn't want to make this video too long. I wanted to watch a Dove commercial and then talk about that they're actually trying to sell you an idea, not just a product. And they're using our values and beliefs to sell us that idea. And we need to bring logic into this commercial. So what you need to do is find a commercial where you are the target audience, right? Find the commercial where you are the target audience, and ask yourself uh, what emotional or appeal are they using in this commercial that has to do with me, that has to do with my identity, and what sources can I bring in to bring a logical appeal to that, right? Because we're arguing not just our character, but what is the ethos of the commercial? What are they trying to make us understand about its identity? What they're actually trying to sell versus the actual just product. All right. So hopefully that clarifies a little bit, but that's what I wanted to discuss, just a little bit about ethos, pathos, and logos. So let me know if that helps a little bit. Again, just as long as we're talking about how does a commercial use me, my identity to sell its product, my stories, my emotions, my relationships, all that. How does it use me to sell its product? If you get that, then you'll do just fine. But talking about ethos, pathos, and logos from the point of view of the commercial is something else that we talk about in class and to carry over into your essay. All right.